Hello. Welcome to episode 242 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. I'm so happy to see you. Thanks for being here. Let's get into things. I'm going to be hacking on Firefox stuff today, as per usual. Let's share my screen and let's take a quick look at the agenda, shall we? Yeah, today is episode 242, March 3rd, 2021. A reminder, no plan survives breakfast. I don't know what's going to happen during the stream. I have a sense of what I want to do. I have some reviews that I need to do, so I'm hoping to go through those. We're going to be testing some patches that other people have written, maybe giving some feedback. I haven't looked at the patches yet, so we'll see how they go. And then if we get past that, then there might be some things that we're going to do on the new app menu that we've been working on for Firefox Desktop. There's some polish work there maybe we could take a look at. And I think that will probably do it. So that's the plan for today, but things could go horribly wrong. Like I said, no plan survives breakfast. We might get sidelined on something completely different. We might get distracted by a bug or something. Who knows? But that's all part of the name of the game. So the second thing is that the agenda that we're looking at is available to you. If you are watching this on YouTube, check out the video description. If you're watching this on Air Mozilla, there's another video description area. I actually don't think I remembered to update the video description. I think I forgot to update the video description with the link to the agenda for Air Mozilla. I'll have to do that after the fact. Apologies. If you are watching this on LinkedIn, why are we on LinkedIn? We shouldn't be on LinkedIn. But if you're watching this on Twitch, then let me just drop a link into the Twitch chat. One moment. Here is the agenda in the chat. Hopefully you are seeing that Twitch side. And yeah, so the agenda has all these fun links that you can click on. Unfortunately, I'm still using Evernote. I tried to switch off to Joplin, but I've got some more bugs with my synchronization script to deal with. I reached some kind of threshold where the API is like paginating and none of my scripts are prepared to deal with the pagination. So it should be relatively minor. I just need to find time to actually deal with it. And so until then, I'm back to Evernote, at least for the next little while. There is an episode guide to The Joy of Coding. Maybe you know that and maybe you don't, but if you didn't, the episode guide is a very handy resource for viewers of the series who want to know more about what's going on. We've got all the way up into episode 235. I actually should probably merge some episodes in because I'm way behind. So let's actually do some of that today. We've got 3 pull requests. I've got 3 pull requests today. And we've got episodes 236 all the way to 241. Let's take a look at those and maybe merge those in because I think that would be a good thing to do. So we'll start with 236 to 238. 3 files were changed. The way I like to review these, it's pretty straightforward. We take a look at the date, make sure that the dates match. Now, for these episodes, I think I was using... was I using Evernote still? I think I was, 236. Yeah. January 6th, 2021. It was New Year's. Let's make sure that link looks right. Thankfully, the links are all readable now. We'll make sure that the agenda link is correct. Whoops. Yep, that looks right. And then it was New Year. I was streaming from home. I talked about the bridge bot, which is still working, thankfully. Hopefully you're receiving that on the stuff I'm putting in on the Twitch side of things. I linked to Emilio. I'm actually going to be reviewing some patches from Emilio today, so that's kind of a coincidence. We talked about HTML entities. This all looks right. And then there was the form. I don't think I'll check the form link. I think that all looks fine. So, good stuff. Episode 237 was on January 13th. Yes. The link looks right here. We'll check the Evernote link. It's actually starting to look like I can... Maybe I've just never noticed this, but the title is like built into it. And if I can probably just assume that this is correct based on episode 237 being here. So I probably don't even have to open those in a new tab anymore. I was reviewing a patch back then for this bug, whatever this bug is. Picture-in-picture windows stop them from opening one on top of the other. Yep. Because guess what? On the release version of Firefox Desktop, you can now have multiple picture-in-picture player windows. Maybe you knew that, maybe you didn't, but there you go. You can do that now. Rest of this looks good. I should probably add Emilio's Twitch stream to this list. In fact, maybe I'll do that. Emilio hacks. Oh, I do have it under links here. I think maybe I just added those later on. And then finally, 238. That's correct. January 20th. That is. Oh, this is the one where I was using one of my the Joplin stuff. So let's open up Joplin, take a look. Episode 238 was January 20th. Yeah, that's right. And I was talking about transitioning off of Evernote, which has only gone so far. Enterprise Policy Engine. I did some reviews, and yeah, that looks right. That looks right. So I'm going to merge this in. This looks great. Thank you once again, Smurf D. A great contribution to the episode guide. So we'll merge that. Confirm. Next up, we've got a pull request for episode 239. Same dealio. We're going to make sure that applies cleanly. Yep. And we're going to look at the files. It was episode 239 was on February 3rd. Yep. Smurf D says you're welcome. XX Kira07 says hi, and I say hi right back. So February 3rd, that looks right. That looks right. And what did we do that day? We were talking about automated tester. I should probably add automated tester to my list of streamers. And we talked about the livecoders.dev and incremental builds. And I know some German and French. Un petit peu. Bitte. Very little. But that looks great. Let's get that merged in. As a Canadian, we're supposed to learn French in school. And so I learned a little bit. And for German, I've just picked it up here and there. I picked up some. I traveled to Germany in early 2020, and so I got to pick up some German just to be polite. I learn enough to be relatively polite because that's very important to us Canadians. Okay, February 10th. Was that correct? Yep, 240. Yep. That all looks right. We were talking about fission, and I was reviewing some stuff. Yeah, we were working on a patch actually to put update banners on the top of the new Proton app menu. Right on. Okay, and then 241. Yeah, that looks right. February 24th. Again, we went back to Evernote here, but I can see now it's episode 241, so I feel pretty good about that. I answered a question. There were no questions this week sent on the forum. So I'm just going to, once again, extend the invitation. If you have questions that you want to ask me, so I'll say thank you. If you have questions you want to ask me, feel free. There's the link to rate this episode in the agenda, and there's a section at the end where you can ask a question. And if I know the answer, if I can figure out an answer for you, I'll try to answer it on the stream. All right. You can also ask questions in the live hacking channel, but sometimes I won't know the answer, and then I'll just say I don't know. Other times, if you ask ahead of time, I can look into it. All right. So what are we doing today? I'm hoping to review some patches. Reviewing some patches. So I've got a number of patches in my patch queue. A lot of them are from my colleague Emilio. There's one from Erica, and there's one from Jared. So I'm going to start with the Emilio ones because I think these are relatively straightforward. We're doing a bunch of work to reorganize parts of the browser, make it a little more cohesive and consistent. And one of the things that we're also doing is updating some of the copy in some of our permission panels. And by copy, I mean the strings that you see. And so Emilio has been tackling a lot of those. He just stepped up and volunteered, and he's been just cranking out patches. Look at this, 25 minutes, and then less than a half hour later, he's got another one, and then less than a half hour later, he's got another one, then another one. Then he took a little break, then there was one here, and then a little break, and then there's another one here. So he's just cranking them out. That's great. So we're going to be reviewing those patches to start. XX Kira07 says, hey, you are the guy who work at Firefox. That's correct. I work for Mozilla, who makes Firefox. I'm one of the developers of Firefox Desktop. Nice to meet you, XX Kira 707. Sorry. All right, let's review one of these patches. I'm gonna crank up the. Danny Colin says, everyone else says, I can say the F word in 20 different languages. Canadians I can say thank you in 50 different languages. That's kind of the idea. It's like we have such a. I think. I don't know if I should speak on behalf of all Canadians, but at least for myself, maintaining the PR that we are so polite is very important to me. Like, it's all very much like Canadian public relations. Like, we have a brand. Canadians have a brand to maintain. And so as a brand, whenever you are traveling outside of Canada to other countries, you are a Canadian brand ambassador. So, you know, I have to maintain, Canadians are so polite. So yeah, learn please, thank you, excuse me, all the important, those are the important things to learn. Like, the most important critical things for me to learn are how to speak to someone at a counter, like maybe who's serving food, or like a waiter or a waitress, like serving staff. I want to make sure that I'm polite to them, especially since I used to work in a kitchen. It's very important for me to be polite to people working in restaurants. But I want to make sure that I'm doing my best to not be like rude whenever I'm like talking to people in other countries. That's important to me. All right, let's review one of these patches. Where should we start? Let's start right at the very beginning of this list right here. Update strings in Midi permission prompt. Now, this is an interesting one because the Midi API, the web Midi API, is not actually enabled in Firefox by default, but the permission panel is in there. It's not only not enabled by default, I don't even think it's complete. I think it's like half done, and that's why it's not enabled. There are a bunch of things that it doesn't do yet. But one of the first parts that landed was the permission panel. And our UX team and our content designers are completionists. They want to make sure that if this thing eventually ships, that the strings are correct. They knew that the panel existed, so they got us some new strings. And so we are going to take a quick peek at this patch. Let's actually try and apply it and see what it looks like. So I'm going to update to Central. Today's tea is, again, Orange Pico. We want to talk about Canadian. That's a Canadian thing, I think. Orange Pico tea, I believe, is the preferred. Like, if you ask for tea, black tea in Canada, you're generally going to get Orange Pico, in my experience. Unless you're in a Starbucks, in which case they'll give you English breakfast. But I think that's because they're an American company. And yes, this is an R2D2 mug. Please don't sue me, Disney. All right, let's Moz Fab patch. Actually, before we do that, let's build. I can use an artifact build here. So I'll do build with artifact. We'll build, and let's take a look at the old prompt. We'll take a screenshot of it. Maybe we'll paste it in here, and we'll do a side-by-side comparison. So let me actually create a new note for active code reviews. We're just going to create a general one for like permission panels. And that might help. My machine is struggling. I wonder. Oh, I guess it's because we have to go download a bunch of new artifacts. Okay. Fair enough. Maybe I pulled recently. I thought I had those artifacts. Okay, so we're going to pull those down. And then we have to figure out a way of turning on the Midi API. Now, the web Midi API, I'm pretty sure there's an about config flag for it. We can probably actually get a sense of it by looking at the place that actually shows the prompt, the permission UI. We can probably get a sense of it. Is there anything in here about a preference? It doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it. So we might just have to search around in about config. There might put in MIDI. DOM web MIDI enabled. That is what it is. So let's actually create a new section. MIDI, web MIDI panel. Preference. That's the preference. And then let's run our build here. SmurfD goes, would you happen to know if there's some bug for aligning the text in the About Firefox pop-up window? So like this one? I don't know. I know that recently there was some work done to, reorganize some of the text in here. I'm not aware of any pre-existing bugs about the alignment of the text in here, but feel free to file one. Bugs are relatively cheap, so long as they're not done. So long as they're done in good faith. All right. So yeah, what are we doing here? We are trying a Web Midi permission panel. This is without Emilio's patch, so we have to turn Web Midi on. And then I'm going to restart the browser. There's a Command-Alt-R shortcut on Mac OS. I think it's Control-Alt-R on Windows that does a quick restart. And then we're going to look for a Web Midi example. Oh, looks like I was already doing Web Midi example. Yeah, here we go. So here's the permission panel. Will you allow Web Midi examples to access your Midi devices? Remember this decision: allow, don't allow. This is the before shot. So, before. After. So we're going to close. We're going to pull down Emilio's patch. Danny Colin asks if there's a plan to move the About Firefox or About dialog into a tab rather than a window. Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I'm sure eventually we would like to move more things into tabs, honestly. The library is more likely to move into a tab before the About dialog, I would say. And moving the library into a tab is not a small amount of work. Let's see. Basically, I feel like there's bigger fish to fry than the About dialogues. Let's go to our example, Web Midi example. And we have a failure here. Line 1227 in permission UI. So that's not going well. What's going wrong? MIDI.allow access key. Did I not build? Did I forget to build? Apply, and then I did mock build afterwards. Build faster, I did. Do I need to do a mock build? That'd be bizarre. Let's do one just in case. But now let's take a closer look at the patch. So on line 1227, which was here, accessing some of these strings is breaking. MIDI.allow. That's the problem. It should be MIDI.allow.label. Okay, so that's the problem. This needs to be MIDI.allow.label. MIDI.allow.label. Where was I? No, I was in permission UI. MIDI. Where was it? MIDI.allow.label. That's, I think, what we need. Okay. So let's build again. And we'll go back to our example and let's see. Okay, now we do have a dialogue here. Allow, and now let's make sure that it's correct. So what was it supposed to say? We'll actually look at the original bug, see if we can get a sense of what it was supposed to say. So in the bug that I filed, it's supposed to be allow, and then the %S is how we express in these types of panels. Like that's where the domain goes. So allow domain to access your MIDI devices. Allow to access your MIDI devices. That looks correct. Now devices is capitalized here. I actually think that's not supposed to be capitalized. So let's update that. Devices should not be capitalized. Similarly, devices should not be capitalized here. Now allow.label, allow A for the access key, B is for block. Now I'm gonna ask, hey Flawed, is changing the casing of the ID sufficient to rev the string? Because the way our strings work, it's for reasons that are a little obscure, but they are good reasons. And when you change a string, you have to change the key as well. Oftentimes it actually occurs by putting a number, like a version number almost, afterwards. But here what Emilio is doing is he's changing the casing. In this case, he's changing the actual part of the key itself. I'm wondering if the casing is okay. I suspect it will be, but just double checking. Okay, so allow and block. There are a few variations, and allow this local file to access your MIDI devices. It looks like devices used to be capitalized here as well. But I think it's supposed to be all lowercase. Should not be capitalized. I realize it was before, but we should be consistent with the string that we got from Betsy. Allow S to access your MIDI devices. You share with site. Yeah, that's right. So there's a note here. It's the name of the site. Allow this local file to access your MIDI devices and send receive sysx messages. Allow to access your MIDI devices and send receive sysx messages. That looks right. And then we update the strings themselves. Share with file, share sysx with file. Let's just make sure that these are all going to work. I don't want to find a site that's actually using sysx with file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can... Is there a G browser bundle? Yeah, I'm going to try and get these manually. Not enough args. Get format string from name. It's not enough. Not enough arguments. Format string from name. Is gbrowser bundle a different thing? It's supposed to be get string? I don't know if that ever worked. Get string from name. Yeah. Probably indicative of how this was never enabled and isn't really tested, but this doesn't work because there are no formatting values being passed. This should be using get string from name. Glad we tested that. Get string from name. Similarly, we'll do the same thing with MIDI share with file. Same as above, use get string from name. And we'll get this one as well. Yep. And Midi share with site. That's an important one. Oh. Oh, no, I'm wrong. I'm wrong on some of these because this one, yeah, it needs to be updated. This one needs to be updated. This one doesn't. This one doesn't need to be updated because of the being passed as an argument. So that one's done. And then same with this one. This one also doesn't need to be updated. And then MIDI allow, we know that that works. MIDI allow access key, block, and block access key, that worked. So we found some things here. Things that I probably wouldn't have noticed unless I had tested the patch. So, you know, this goes to show if one of the things that you're doing is reviewing a patch and maybe it's code that you're not super familiar with, you can still do a really comprehensive review, I think, or like a useful review by just testing the patch. Let me just double check that all of the comments were updated. So I found some things we need to correct here. So I'm going to say request changes. Thanks, Emilio. This is really close. Just a few small details. And I think we also need to CC flawed or get flawed as a reviewer as well. Add change reviewers. I'm going to add flawed as a blocking reviewer and myself as a blocking reviewer. Okay, nice. Let's move on to the next one. Let's do the persistent storage one. I think that one will be straightforward too. So the persistent storage permission panel, in order to see it, a site has to, yeah, I believe a site has to request it. And let me just see if that's relatively easy to spawn. So if you go to like permission.site, this is a great site. Permission.site. This is a way you can quickly test various permissions. Let's see. Here's the persistent storage button and just request the permission. Very handy. A1 Marky asks, what's going on here? We are updating some strings for some permission panels. I am actually reviewing some patches to update some strings. Hopefully that answers your question, A1 Marky. Smurfd asks, what does blocking reviewer mean? That you have to review it for it to be able to land? Every patch needs to be reviewed in order for it to land. But what a blocking reviewer means is that like this reviewer is required to make the patch be accepted. If you, and that's only useful if you have multiple reviewers. So the way Fabricator works, you can have any number of reviewers listed. I'm currently the only reviewer right now. So if I accept this patch, that's enough for it to land. If there are multiple reviewers, by default, if none of them are blocking, that means that only one of those reviewers needs to accept the patch in order for it to land. So if you have multiple reviewers and you want every person to have accepted it in that list, you have to make them blocking reviewers. That's how that works. Okay, so we're updating the persistent storage prompt. Let's pull that patch down and try it. So I'm going to shut down. Revert. Excuse me. That was a great question, Smurfd. Because that's like one of the things that I think isn't obvious about Fabricator until you use it. until you actually run into it. I love the questions. I think we've got the right patch checked out, the one we just pulled down. Let's just double check it. Update persistent storage prompt. All right, let's build it and try it out. Oh, you know what we should do, though? We should have looked at the original. We're going to do a before and after. I never did the after here. Whoops. Forgot to take a screenshot. Okay. And now we're doing persistent storage. Now, one of the things that's kind of like, I'm going to say an E. Persistent is an E, not an A. Right? Persistent? Yeah. So we got to make sure that that's spelled right. No A. E. That's a thing that's gotten me before. So we'll make sure that is correct. It looks correct. But let's see what it looks like in the before times. We'll go back to permission.site. We're going to request persistent storage, and we're going to take a screenshot. So this is what it looks like before. And then after. So what do we have here? We've got a will you allow permission.site to store data in persistent storage, and then there's a learn more, and then you've got a split button here, not now, and then this little chevron that allows you to say never allow, and then an allow. Now let's see what the bug is actually asking us to do here. Lol repeat lol says, I can't be at the stream right now, but just want to stop by and say hi. Hello, lol repeat lol. Good to hear from you. We're going to remove the split button and instead opt for the checkbox for remember this decision. Okay. So that's important, and we'll see if that was part of the patch. So let's apply this patch. I've already got it locally. Let's update to it, build it, and take a look. Okay, we've got rid of the split button. We've got an allow and a block. And so let us take a screenshot here. We will put that inside of our Evernote. Allow permission.site to store data in persistent storage. So let's see if that is what we had asked for in the bug. Allow domain to store data in persistent storage. That looks right. With the choice buttons changed to allow and block respectively. And one second. So allow and block now, are there supposed to be access keys on those? Yes, and we've got the access keys set up. Let's look at the revved strings here. Block, allow with site. Now notice allow with site, Emilio is actually adding an increment. He's incrementing the number here, so that makes sense. Site 2, allow to store data in persistent storage. Remember this decision. That is correct. And then the code itself, we're using a checkbox to show. So this is interesting. There's a little bit of logic in here. Before, we would show the never allow. And now we're getting rid of that, which makes sense. But here we're only showing the checkbox if this file, if it's not a file scheme, which makes sense because you don't want to remember for the file scheme. And also if we're not in a private browsing window. It's browser owner global. Yeah, okay. And then if we're showing it, then the label is persistent storage remember. Now, what does the checkbox do? Does the checkbox do anything? How does that work? Let me just remind myself how the checkbox works, because you can check the checkbox. That's great. A checkbox is showing up, but does the checkbox do anything? Checked. So in the prompt part, if state checkbox checked and state source, if use permission and permission key and prompt action scope, if scope persistent, then we will permanently store the permission. If it's block, what were we doing before? Saying action block persistent. Okay, what I think we should do is we should test. We should run, make sure that blocking with remember this decision is working properly. Because the strings look great. I'm loving the strings. Let's make sure that the block works with and without the checkbox. So we're going to open up a new debugger here. We're going to say permission UI. Here's the prompt function that we're already in. And then how does this work? Prompt. We'll determine if prompt should be shown to the user, and if so, we'll show it. So where do we do that? Permission key. We show the prompt, and here's the callback. This is important. So let's try the block right now, because we'll enter the callback, I believe. Whoops. Yes, we are entering the callback. There is a permission key. The checkbox state, checkbox checked is false, because we didn't check the checkbox. So let's see what happens. And if our prompt action is block, then we're saying we're temporary blocking here. Okay. And it's not allow, so we're going to go cancel. Done. Okay. So we did a temporary block there. Let's get rid of that. Let's reload. Let's try that again. We're going to do a remember this decision on block. So checkbox is still checked. And we're going to set the action. The action is prompt action is 2. And is that site permissions dot block? Yes, it is. And the scope is persistent. We did the right thing. So this is going to do a permanent block. It's blocked. Great. And then we can remove that. I think we're in good shape. I'm very happy with this. That appears to work. Now let's make sure that the allow works. I don't think that will have changed at all. Allowed. So now it is allowed. Great. I'm very pleased. This patch looks good. If there's anything that needs to be adjusted here, it's like the linting. But otherwise, this looks good. And it's just strings. So we don't need to do tests. And I'm going to say, looks great. Please address the linting stuff before you land. You can use mock lint path to file -- fix to have ESLint fix it for you if you'd like. Good stuff. Next. Ooh, got another one. So it looks like Emilio. Oh, did I do this? Oh, I became a blocking reviewer because I updated the reviewing state. So I'm gonna actually say like changes requested again. So request changes, setting changes requested per my previous review. It got reset when I set myself as blocking. Okay, and then I'm going to change reviewers here as well. I'm going to add flawed as a blocking reviewer. I've already R+'d it, so I don't need to add myself as a blocking reviewer. Okay. Next. Indexeddb. Let's do the Indexeddb one. You know what, before we continue, let's update the reviewers to add flawed as a blocking reviewer. Whoops, flawed blocking, and I'll add myself as a blocking reviewer. Let's apply this patch. But then let's also see the old one. We're going to do a before and after again. This is for Indexeddb. Now, this is actually going to be a tricky one to bring up correctly because I'd need to write an application that like tries to store 50 megs. I think it's like we'll only show this permission prompt if a site is attempting to store a lot of data. Like I think it's like 50 megs of data. Data in the Indexeddb database. I don't want to have to build something that does that as a test just for something like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to hotwire this permission prompt and we're going to force it to show itself using the browser console. So let's see how we can do that. Luckily, I think this can be done by calling a function, really. Indexeddb prompt helper, there's this observe thing. So I think we just have to fiddle with this observe method. Oh, do we? Because then it wants the request. Man, this might be harder to hotwire than I thought. How do we get it to appear? Indexeddb permission prompt, observe, add an observer for Indexeddb permission prompt. And then where's the notify? Indexeddb request storage. Permission. Check for permission. Check permission. I think this is what's ultimately going to call some kind of the permission API. Like there's some kind of thing that needs to let's open up browser.js, Indexeddb prompt helper. Oh, come on. How does this even work? That is unusual. Also, why is my machine just like really spinning up right now? Let me just quickly look at the activity monitor. Off screen for a sec. Oh, camera settings. Why would you be taking so much resources? And OBS is taking a lot. And surprisingly, Joplin? No, I can't be right. It's mostly OBS. Okay. Weird. Okay, so how do we trick this thing into showing up? One way to do that is by looking at any of the tests. So maybe there's a way we can test this. Or like look at some of the tests if a test exists. Topic, we create Indexeddb permission prompt. So this is the name of the prompt as well as the topic. We're reusing that, and it looks like there are pre-existing tests here. So maybe we can use these, and then we can make it show, and then we'll just hold instead of just flashing by. So let's run this test. First of all, let's open this test. And then what we'll do is we'll only run the first one. Only. And then what we're going to do is wait for message, get permission, load URI, wait for message. What's that going to do? Prompt hidden. Event handler, pop-up shown, pop-up showing, shown, hidden, and then trigger main command. I'm going to not do this part. I have a feeling that's going to cause everything to wait. And that's fine. I don't need this test to complete. I just need to see the permission panel. So mock, Moki test, browser, permission, prompt, allow. So what I'm expecting to see is the old prompt to appear, and then just hold so I can take a screenshot of it. So originally I was going to try and hotwire it. It didn't look like it was easy to hotwire. I must not have put that name in right. Browser permissions prompt allow. Permissions prompt allow. Sometimes these functions are nice. You can hotwire them. Sometimes they're not. Okay, here we go. That's before. Shut down. Indexeddb. Before. After. So let's shut down. Shelve the change. And then, actually, did I have... Yeah, I've already got it here. So shelve, update tip, unshelve, mock build faster. Unshelving, and then we're going to mock build faster. I'm just going to quickly check this message that I was just sent. Pardon me. Pardon me. Canvas panel. So I've been asked for the link, the in-product sumo link that's in the canvas panel. Sure. In the canvas panel, permission UI, is that canvas? Where's the canvas one? Copy canvas. It's powered here. waiting for Search Fox. I didn't need to run that. I need to run the new test, or run the old test. But also, while we're waiting for that, so canvas, do. Remember, where's the learn more link? It's base URL fingerprint permission. So base URL. Sorry, I'm just going to answer a question for somebody, and then I'll get back to the stream. Sometimes what I do is answer questions. That's how you be helpful. That's how you unblock other people, which is how you become the 10 times engineer. The 10x engineer is not by doing 10x the work. It's to help 10 people do their work. That's how you do it. And so it's fingerprint permission, which links to, hang on a second here, support.mozilla.org one. For me, which redirects. Okay, done. So let us now run that test and take a screenshot. Okay, so we're going to take a screenshot of that and put it here. Okay. The Monkey test to store data on your computer. Okay, so let's take a look at what the original bug said we were supposed to be doing. Which one am I on? This is Indexeddb, right? So where's the Indexeddb one? Update Indexeddb permission prompt, and the permission prompt is supposed to be allow blah to store data on your computer. And what does it say now? Allow to store data on your computer. That looks right. With the choice buttons changed to allow and block respectively. That is correct, sir. That is correct. Let's take a quick peek at the patch now just to double check. So getting the formatted string available 3, so we've revved one of the strings. Allow label, yep. Allow access key, yep. Oh, block label, block access key, that all looks good. That looks straightforward. I love it. I am loving it. I am McLovin' it. So we're going to change the testing tag to it. We're only changing strings, and then I'm going to accept this patch. Loving it. And let's see here. Do we have time for a few more? I think we do. Let's do the, what is this? Permission panel strings. Okay, general knit. I'm going to say, as a general knit, I think the commit message should be updated to reflect that the, I think it's geolocation. Yeah, the geolocation permission strings are being updated. Because it's just like update permission panel strings. Well, all right, but like which permissions? So let's do again our trick before and after. We're going to update to central, and we're going to build faster. And while we're waiting for that, we'll take a quick peek at the patch. So we are revving the allow string, get the access key. That's nice. Block access key. So you can see that we're converging on this like very sort of general, consistent language. Allow block. and being less like, will you do this, and just allow. It's just more direct. Like, instead of will you allow this site to access your location, it's allow this site to access your location. It's the little things, consistency. And I believe that is the what was asked for is allow block, and then allow such and such to access your location. And then allow this file to access your location. That's right. And then share with unsafe delegation 2. Allow to give permission to access your location. Yeah, there's some third-party origin delegation stuff that we're also updating. But that all looks right. And then the strings are all getting updated. Geolocation share with file 4. Format strings share with site unsafe delegation 2. Then geolocation share with site 4. And then allow access key, block access key. And there was another one. What was it? The share with file 4. Oh yeah, it's right here. It's at the top. That all looks good. But let's take a look. So this is another one of those patches, or another one of those permission prompts that we can get a clear sense of by going to that permission.site page. https://permission.site. Very handy. So we'll go location. And this is the old one. Geolocation old. Before. Huh. Okay. And we are going to do after now. So Moz fab patch, yada yada. It's patching 2. Was this done in a stack? Oh yeah, it looks like Amelia did these as a pair. All right, well, I'm only looking at the location when they're decoupled. I'm getting all this messaging from the add-ons channel that I don't think is targeting me, so I'm gonna turn off how noisy it is. Okay. I think after this I might stop for the day. My throat's getting a little sore and tired. It's been a rough week, so I might stop soon. But I think we can finish off this location one. Okay, so this is the after again with allow and block. Consistent language. Let's take a quick peek at what it's supposed to be. Allow to access your location. Yep. There's a learn more link. That's fine. And allow block. And no changes to remember this decision. That looks right. That looks right to me. I'm going to say let's go for it. Now, I also want to change the reviewers so that Flawed is a blocking reviewer. I'm going to accept this revision. This is just strings before landing. Thanks, Emilio. Okay, and submit. And I think I might cap it there, actually. You know, we did a number of reviews. How many do I have left? 5. 5 reviews left. Oh, it looks like Emilio came back with another revision here. ESLint plus plus nits, and then capitalization. Maybe we can get this thing R plus. Let's take a quick peek. So let's reapply this Midi patch. We can prune off the old one. I have it down here. And this is good. This will allow me to be a completionist and put the after here. Moz fab patch. See some chatter. Oh yeah, hold on. There's been a bunch of chatter inside the chat room. Let me just check. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not my system purged to read down. What? Still crashed at startup. Headless screenshot. I can't be the streamer. There's a bunch of traffic in the live hacking channel that I haven't been keeping up with. Let me just check. Plain Sand says, sorry if this was mentioned already. Wasn't able to hit the beginning, but is there anything weird going on with the latest Firefox version? Kept crashing on Linux. Works fine on Nightly. I'm not aware of such things crashing. It would depend on your distribution. So if you are using Mozilla publishes builds of Firefox. We build them ourselves and we put them on like our website that you can download. On Linux, that'll be like tar.gz files or something, or tar files, compressed tars. But depending on your distribution, they might also do a build of Firefox that they themselves do. And they're kind of in charge of making sure that they build properly. So if you are experiencing a startup crash on your distribution's build of Firefox, that might be worth filing with your distribution's bug tracker, because maybe they didn't build it correctly, or maybe they're doing some custom thing, and it's causing it to be crashy. So there's a question answered there. Nightly works fine, currently using it. And then for some reason, okay, I think Jack Newman is the same person as Plains and, because there's conversation is continuing inside of Matrix about the same problem. Tried both tarball and distribution, kept immediately crashing. Okay, I'm fine with Nightly. Don't have much time to debug it, figure it out. Just want to see if there's any info regarding it. Maybe tonight I'll give it a go. Both tars and distributions, says Jack Newman. Okay, well, that's very interesting. If you are experiencing a startup crash on Linux, that's actually really interesting, because we thankfully have the ability to get information from you about the startup crash. Well, first of all, one thing you can do is you can, once you have your tarball, is to, let's see, what would I do? I would say, like, go to your distribution, the folder where you've downloaded the tarball of your released version of Firefox, and then I do on Linux GDB and then Firefox. I don't know if you need the // you might need the // and that's going to open up a GDB prompt. It might actually, I don't know if it's going to ask for your administrative credentials. It might, but then it's going to dump you into GDB. Now that might be scary if you're not used to GDB, but all you need to do is, once you're in GDB and it's like prompting you, and it's ready to run Firefox, you just need to say run and then press enter, and then hopefully Firefox will boot up, and hopefully it will crash, and you will hit your crash, and it will say so inside of GDB. It'll be like, oh, I've hit some error. And now once you've hit your problem, type in BT, press enter. BT stands for backtrace, and what's going to happen is, because your debugger is attached to Firefox at the time of crashing, we can get a backtrace of the crash. We can take a look at that, and maybe that might help figure out what's going wrong. If you're experiencing this on release from the tarballs, that doesn't sound like it's your distribution's problem anymore. That sounds like it's our problem, or there's something strange happening with integration on your operating system. But we should definitely figure it out. Let me know if you want additional help. Just reach out to me in segfault something about libzool.so Interesting. Well, we can get a stack by doing what I just described, where you use GDB to get a stack. And then it might be unsymbolicated, but we can try and symbolicate it if it's a, if it is a build that Mozilla built, then we have the symbols. We can turn those machine addresses into actual, like, human readable frames, like stack frames, and then we can maybe debug what's going on here. Because otherwise, a libzool inside a segfault inside of libzool is, it's like saying, in the city that I'm in of millions of people, there is a pothole that is very deep, and it has, when I drive over it, my tire is punctured. So, okay, that is a problem, serious problem. We have to know where the pothole is. So hopefully GDB would help us identify where the pothole is. All right, let's quickly check out this Midi patch that was just posted. All right. Midi. I don't think, is it in here? Can we use Midi here? We can. I didn't even need to go to that glitch thing. Okay, so here we go. Allow such and such. So this is the after. Let's take a quick peek inside of here. Allow such and such to access your Midi devices and send/receive sysx messages. Interesting. So this one's doing the sysx thing. Let's do the other web Midi example. To access your Midi devices. Whoops, I think we wanted, that's the same screenshot as before. We want this one. Oh, come on. This one. Thank you. Cool. So let's take a look at the patch. Yep, revving, the casing, share with file, access your Midi devices, allow such and such to access your Midi devices, allow this local file to access your Midi devices, and send/receive sysx messages. That looks right. And then get string from name. Yes. 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 I love it. Testing. Only strings. Flawed blocking review. I'm going to say, thanks, Emilio. Submit. All right. Cool. Jack Newman asks, understood, where's best to check in after the stream? You can ask in here inside of the live hacking matrix channel where you are, Jack Newman, if you want to do that. That's fine. Or you can file a bug. That would be also very useful. And then CC me on it, and I can make sure the right people see it. If you file a bug on Bugzilla, that'd be bugzilla.mozilla.org. You know, you can just file a new bug. Because ultimately, if what you found is something that, like, isn't, you know, it sounds like a real, it doesn't sound like a mistake on your part or anything. Like, it sounds like there's like a real issue here. Then we'll probably take care of it in Bugzilla. So ultimately, regardless, you reach out to me over live hacking, or you file a bug. Ultimately, a bug is going to get filed. So if you want, you can file a bug. If you're intimidated by all the fields and stuff, then don't. That's fine. Just reach out to me in live hacking, and I'll file the bug for you. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop here. Hey, someone asks. Andreu Botella says, "What does faster do? What does faster? I presume you mean like the mock build faster part. Mock build faster. So there's two ways you can build. There are actually three ways you can build Firefox locally. Like 3 different commands for building. Mock build binaries, mock build faster. Those are the 3. Firefox is actually There's a whole bunch of binary components, like stuff written in Rust and C++ and assembly. And then there's a bunch of stuff that's written in JavaScript, CSS, and Zool and HTML. The latter half of the stuff isn't compiled down into like machine language. What happens is it's put inside of an asset directory or an asset file called omni.ja. And at runtime, we read those assets out of omni.ja. And so the build step for packaged things is actually place the file, maybe do some pre-processing on it, but place it inside the omni.ja file, which is different from run it through the C++ compiler, which we would do for like some C++ like binary changes or Rust binary changes run through the Rust compiler. So if I know that I've changed only CSS or JavaScript or HTML, which I know is the case with these panel changes, that includes things like strings as well, then mock build faster just means just repackage everything. Don't try and recompile all of the binary components. And that saves time, because if you do mock build or mock build binaries, the build infrastructure is going to check all of the binary files to see which ones need to be built. And that takes time. You know, got to scan the file system, looking at like the last updated stats on each of the files. So if I, the person typing mock build, know that we've only touched JavaScript, CSS, HTML, Zool, strings, I can do mock build faster and save a bit of time. If I've only changed binary files, then I can save time by not having to do the repackaging step, by doing mock build binaries. And that will just do the C++ part or the Rust part, and then the linking of the object files into the library. If I don't know, mock build does both. Mock build is the superset of both mock build binaries and mock build faster. And it will just make sure that all of the binary files are compiled and correct and the packaging has been done. So that's how I save time, is by doing mock build faster. That's also, you want to use mock build faster if you're doing artifact builds, because what it will do is, as part of the build step, go and download the binary artifacts for your binary builds and make sure that they are in sync with what revision you currently have checked out with Mercurial or Git, I guess. So if you're using artifact builds, you want to use mock build faster. Oh, apparently mock build does other things too, like building the Windows installers. That's right. Sorry, I forgot about Windows. So it will also build Windows installers. There's also, there's mock package. I don't know if mock package definitely does other things. Like mock package will build like a zip file of the build, and it will do other things. And then there's like mock build symbols, which will like create the crash reporter symbols and stuff. And mock packages for Android APKs. You can use mock package on desktop, but I think I only use that whenever I'm trying to send someone a zip file of something I've just built locally. So mock build package will like take your local build, throw it into a file in your obj.dir that you can send someone over the internet. All right, I think I'm going to stop here. Hey, thank you so much for watching episode 200 and what episode was this? Episode 242 of The Joy of Coding. Let me know what you thought. There is a form here to fill out. Let me know what you thought of the episode. You can like and subscribe. Tell all your family to subscribe. The more people who subscribe, then the more subscribers I have. And that's great for subscribes. I don't know. But feel free to subscribe, and then you'll be hearing about when new episodes come out. But I'm pretty regular about it, like every week, almost. But in particular, please fill out this form, especially if you have questions that you want answered. There's a field in the form. You can ask me questions. I will try my best to answer them during the next stream. And with that, I think I'm going to call it here. Thanks again for watching episode 242 of The Joy of Coding. I appreciate you being here, and we will talk soon. So take care, everyone. Oh, hold on a second. I got to cue up the outro music. Take care. Bye-bye. The joy of coding. See ya. See ya.